So, Mike, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show with us today. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. Definitely like what you do. It ties in with what I'm into as well. So this is perfect. Name's Mike Postil, Postil, pronounced Postil. Think of the friendlier version of Hostile Postil. But in any event, uh, basically in a nutshell, older guy in his 50s who has done martial arts of various systems for 30 plus years, athlete, done all kinds of sports prior to that and during that. In addition to that, I conducted executive protection details for, the who's who and the high net worth individuals, et cetera, for 12 years. And then my main hustle or job is being that of a realtor, and I cover the residential realtor side. So again, in a nutshell, I'm able to give kind of a comprehensive background. I'm also a father of three boys. I've experienced, back in the day when I grew up, we just fought and we didn't talk. we didn't talk to our parents. We didn't call it bullying. And I'm not
Right.
taking anything away from kids today that they can't fight. But
Right.
they obviously they call it bullying, and they've been calling that for the last 15, 20 years. So experienced hardcore bullying issues with one of my sons getting into it, like full MMA fighting with a well-trained kid. And we had to almost file a full-on lawsuit with the school district. So
Goodness.
I have a very broad background as a husband, father, martial artist, executive protectionist, and then sales guy in a mouthful.
Right. And you also are a podcaster on top of all of that.
Yes. And then which brings us how I found you, Andy. And thanks to Kelly, who introduced us out of St. Paul, Minnesota. God bless you, Kelly. I created a podcast end of October of 2021. And the whole guise or premise of why a podcast, I wanted to do it for years. What finally got me off my butt and kick it into overdrive was I was doing security for a very wealthy individual who was running for governor of the state of California when they were having the recall event last September, October time of 21 out here in California. By the way, yes, I live in California. Don't hold that against me, anybody. So I do have property in Idaho. So there you go. Anyways, so I created the podcast, and my whole premise is I enjoy giving back. I've taught thousands of people over the years. I truly enjoy giving back to good people regarding self-defense, situational awareness, and all that kind of aspect. But then also, I've always had to kind of go the hard route to find things. I'm a first generation realtor. I'm a first generation martial artist. I'm a first generation surfer. I kind of had to go out and find it on my own. And I'm like, if there's a faster way to do this, I'd love to find that. And
Right.
So one way of my podcast is to have so-called experts in the areas of real estate, personal security, and the outdoor lifestyle dash sports. And if the listeners can hear that and glean information, we're like, wow, I didn't think of it that way. Or, you know what, that's right. Or I'll check out that person, then so be it.
Yeah, man. And you do a good job with the show, and you have a really good voice, by the way. And what I like about what you bring to the table is you just have a wealth of life experience. You have done a lot of things. And that's why I thought when you first started your show, I was like, I need to keep an eye on this guy and let's see what he's got to say and let's see what he does. And sure enough, I was like, okay, I feel like Mike can talk to us about a bunch of stuff, but where you stand out that I've never had a guest before was talking about what we need to do to buy a home safely, how we need to research all of that. And I thought with everything he's done, you're going to be perfect for this, and you're going to help us out with something else a little later. So when we're looking to buy a house, no matter where it is here in the US, what is the best way for me to research that area to know that I'm moving in to a good area?
A very good question. And thank you for that. And thank you for the highlights. Appreciate that. So based on my experience, and obviously this is just one man's experience and opinion. It'll vary between realtors and so forth, but I don't know too many realtors that have the security background that I do. And that's important because you really got to stress that to your clients, your sellers or buyers. So in any event, the first thing, we have this thing called the internet, which obviously we're using for the podcast.
Yep.
So it can be a tool that's a positive, and as you have done wonderfully on your podcast, it can also be a pretty nasty weapon against people. So
Hmm.
um, my focus as a positive for the internet is that buyers can go, especially buyers can go on the Zillows, the
Yep.
realtor.coms, the homes.com, et cetera, yada, yada. And they can research a particular community, area, and start educating themselves. Is that where I would like to live? Is that an area that I could see myself hunkering down and creating, a lifestyle and a family and blah blah blah. So that's all good and positive. Where the internet still lacks is you still need a legit human being who has feet in that particular area and is walking around, who knows the community extremely well because he or she lives there or close
Right.
to it. They have experience in that area. They know the school districts. They know the amenities. They know the EMS services around. They know including hospitals. I can pinpoint exactly the distance between me and the nearest hospital, police station, etc. And I have relationships with law enforcement and in the EMS services, so I can pinpoint exactly. I reside in Newport Beach, California, but all the outlying areas, Huntington Beach, Irvine, Costa Mesa, Laguna, Newport Coast, yada yada, San Clemente. I know all these areas. And then the other thing is I know all these areas because I'm a father of three boys.
Hmm.
And I grew up with my boys surfing, water polo, football, sports, soccer, and especially water polo. I have traveled literally up and down this entire state of California. So even as a local realtor of, say, Orange County, California, I am fairly well versed in other areas as well. The thing where private security, executive protection has separated myself from, say, other realtors is in my mindset. I have the purpose of conducting advances. So
Yes. Right.
Zillow can't do this,
Mm-hmm.
realtor.com can't do this. So I'm able to conduct I've had people call me from Georgia, from other parts of the New York, from other parts of the country. Hey, Mike, we're looking at so and so area. Hey, no worries. Tell you what, I'll drive that area, that community. I'll do some research. I know all the comps. And by the way, earlier, Zillow and Realtor, a lot of times their comps are way skewed out of their estimations are like out of whack.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. So
So it sounds like you're saying, man, I got to get in the car and I got to go see for myself. You got to go
absolutely.
trust those instincts and you got to go out there and take a look.
Right. So for let's relate it to personal security. So situational awareness, okay, and conducting advances. And I have that, it's just ingrained in my system. It's this there. It's my subconscious, which pops out into my conscious in a nanosecond, New York second. And so I'll drive certain areas. So for example, let's say I have to drive up to LA County to some community that may be an hour, 2 hours away from me, but I'll conduct that advance, check it out. I'll look for the community, everything that community has to offer, like I
Mm.
mentioned earlier. And then I will report back to that person wherever they are, XYZ location, whatever grid sector in the country, and tell them, hey, I know you're down for that area, maybe in Marina Del Rey, but did you consider maybe Manhattan Beach or even Playa Del Rey? Because the prices may be a little different. Here's a pocket that I just found in this sector. And it just, I go the extra mile to provide people the necessary 411 information that they truly need as a conscientious buyer to do it properly. And I do that with that security intent behind. And I also do it as a father. Like as a
Hmm.
father, I don't want to be living next to a rehab home. I don't
Right.
want to be
Right.
living next to behind the wall is a factory. I don't want to be
Hmm.
living next to a restaurant that's spewing grease out in the air. And these are all silly little things, but they
Hmm.
all factor in. And I've all heard it from people going, I wish I knew this, or I wish I knew that before I
Right.
bought.
Right.
And so I'm just over comprehensive providing to potential buyers.
Yeah. So I like it. You have to actually get out there and do that. You can't just look at one posting online and just say, hey, this is the house because the pictures are pretty. We're going to go and do this. All right. So
Can
let's
I
say,
interject on that real
sure.
quick?
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm all the way down here in Southern California, and I am actually researching. This is a testimonial, a real deal thing. I'm researching property in northern Idaho. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
60 miles south of the Canadian border. For those that are aware of the area, Sandpoint, let's pinpoint it, Sandpoint, Idaho.
Okay.
I'm looking at land on realtor.com. And then I'm coordinating with and I'm currently trying to get my real estate license in Idaho as well. But I'm coordinating with a realtor who is born and raised in that area and familiar with it. I found a piece of land. He didn't even know about it.
Oh, wow.
I found the land. Well, he's super busy, but yeah, it came on, came off. He didn't think it was on anymore. I found it, talked to him about it, and then he went out and checked it out, did some drone shots for me, and got back with us. And then it's kind of a family venture, and so we all went and looked at it. But my point is, we've looked at several other properties that you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that such and such was right next door down the road. I'm not down for that. Or I didn't know the property was so undulating and then went sheer cliff down. All those kind of things that internet cannot do. And no matter how, sometimes people really doctor up the photos.
Mm-hmm.
You literally got to walk the property.
Right. Right. It's a big decision. You got to go out there and you got to put in the footwork.
Right.
So when you are, helping a client buy a home, what are some of those security red flags that you look for with the actual home itself to say to somebody, this might not be what you want to consider? Or, what are some things that we need to look for if we're going to look at a house and say, I don't know about that?
Now, as a realtor in California, which is different than a lot of states in this country, is we are heavily regulated, good and for most parts good, about discrimination.
Okay.
So I mentioned rehab homes, rehabilitation homes.
Mm-hmm.
California has probably the most rehab homes of any state. And when I mean rehab home, I'm not talking about physical well, they
Right.
consider physical. I'm
Right.
not talking about you broke your back and you're getting physical therapy. I'm talking about drug addiction, anger issues. You're court ordered because you beat the crap out of somebody and you better be going to this place. Otherwise you're doing time, or you did time and now you have to go finish some of your probation at a rehab facility. I mean, there's so much crap that goes down. We are not allowed to tell prospective buyers that next door, that home you absolutely love and you can see yourself living in, and you're ready to pay all cash for that property, there's a full rehab home. So I'm not allowed to say that due to discrimination.
Right.
So, but that's important to me as a father. I will advise people, do your research. And there we go back to your initial question. Do your research online. Look up Megan's Law for sexual predators.
Yep.
That may be living in the community. And then I suggest you walk the area thoroughly, or if you can, the entire perimeter. And just eyes and ears open, situational awareness.
It's hard to say, man. It really is. Situational awareness. I'm right
no,
there.
but have your essay on.
Essay, like it.
I need more coffee. Anyways, and really pay attention.
So we have talked a lot about Zillow and realtor.com. And I have gone to Zillow and looked at houses before. And it is this, for my perspective, you may not like Zillow, and you kind of told us that their things are skewed, but you can go and take a photo tour of any of these houses that are up for sale. And you, as a prospective home buyer, okay, that's great. I can kind of see what this house looks like to know if I want to go see it in person. But if I'm a bad guy, I can look around somebody's house and say, okay, there's a window here. There's a back door that doesn't have a deadbolt on it. How do you think Zillow has changed the game for home security?
This is what's so unique about real estate. It's the one profession that you're literally, as a homeowner, I own the property, I'm a seller. I'm literally going to put my home, the inside of my home and potentially contents of my home online.
Right. For anybody to see.
For everybody to see. It's extremely unique. So what I do is I sit down with the sellers beforehand. As I said, I need you to walk your property and act like a stranger and look at everything in your home and take your mindset out of you growing up in your home. And you're look, our brains are conditioned the way we were raised. They're conditioned the way we conduct our lives and how we live it.
Yep.
So, and that's good, but other times it could be bad because it skews you from truly looking at other sides of the coin. So I need people when they're listing their home to truly walk through their home, take their brain out of how they were and look at it as a stranger, look at it as a criminal,
Yes.
walk through the,
Adversarial mindset. Yes.
absolutely. And walk through that home and look at what you'd like to take.
Mm-hmm.
So all those prescription drugs in your cabinet, medical cabinet, take them out. Those photos of you that may be revealing or may glean some info about your company, may glean information about who you are and what you do and how people can get a hold of you, take them down. And I, you know, even to the weights, and let's say you have a gym. Well, hello, all those kettlebells and dumbbell, all those weights are weapons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, you know, and this is the other thing. So people, I've had literally people look at me with that 1,000-yard stare and go, "You are too crazy." I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
no, I'm not too crazy. I'm a victim of crime twice.
Yeah.
I had someone burglarize my home. I come from security background. I have tons of cops I train with where I hear the crap every day. No, I'm just realistic. So if you
Right.
look, we can either bury your head in the sand and act like an ostrich, or you can get real. We can act like mature adults and just go, it is what it is. So let's prepare ourselves. I literally go through exactly everything in that home and take it down, put it in a safe, make sure that safe is bolted to the ground,
Mm-hmm.
not just a shoebox safe that's sitting in your closet. I had a friend lose their stuff that way, stolen by people. Had a nice Glock in there and a Rolex watch, about 20
Uh-huh.
grand. Goodbye. That was during an open house. So
Oh man.
yeah. So my God, before you go on where everyone can look at you, hide stuff that is of value, whether someone can act like a mole and take information from you,
Mm-hmm.
or they see the value. So then a criminal who's on there looking online going, "Oh, dude, check that out." And he's talking to his friends. "Look at that in the house. Let's go pay that house a visit during their open house on Saturday at 1:00 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And it's open till 4.
Right.
Oh, and look at this cute little realtor. That's that's the listing agent that's sitting on the home. Even better."
Right. Right. So it kind of starts to sound like the more we put out there about our home, about our situation, about our lives, the more and more people are paying attention and they're using that information against us.
Absolutely. I mean, bro, if I put out, yeah, I mean, if I put out all the injuries I've had over my life and I got a fight coming up and I got
Oh
to fight
yeah.
this and I got to fight this dude. Now I just told the dude that he could kick my knee. He could go
Hmm.
for, an upper hook. Yeah, I'm going off. But anyways,
Right. It's
you
like handing
don't.
the other team your playbook right before the Super
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bowl.
Like
Yeah.
football, you hand over your
Yeah.
playbook to the other team. You're like, are you kidding me? So less is more.
Mhm.
Keep it simple. How many adjectives, nouns, verbs we want to come up with, statements, and just put out all the necessary stuff you need to put out that shows your bedrooms, your bathrooms, your living room, your dining room, your whatever, etc., your backyard, spa, pool, whatever.
Yes, I like it. And you're making it look like an unappealing target for the bad guys, but trying to make it look like an appealing home for a buyer. So,
Absolutely.
have you ever had you've got, gosh, man, a wealth of experience here. I'm sure you've had a situation where you have a security story about a listing that you've been involved with or something to that nature, right?
I have several. The most common one I've experienced is people come in and casing for prescription medicine.
Yeah.
And that actually, it's a big problem out here. It is nationwide. I had, and I'll give you a couple examples. First one personally happened to us when we listed our home a long time ago. My wife had back surgery
Mm,
and she was prescribed Vicodin. And
yep.
no, my wife's not a junkie.
No, 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 no.
She only took Vicodin once in a while because if anyone's had back surgery, including
Oh yeah,
myself,
sure.
it
Oh
sucks.
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
it's painful. So, she got the typical Vicodin before, for after, for pain for however long. Anyways, we had an open house, and I guess there was some, someone rifled through our bathroom and took the Vicodin. They took several things. And you know what? That was our fault. We
Mm,
didn't. Now we didn't know. We didn't think about it back then. This is
sure.
before I got into real estate too.
Hmm.
But I didn't give it much thought because
Yeah.
here we go to the mindset again. I'm trained. I tend to be a decent human being. When I walk into a person's home, I have the utmost respect. I'll walk through someone's home if I have permission, but I'm not certainly not going to steal stuff. That's just the way I am.
Yes.
And that clouded my proper judgment to think, well, you know what, Mike? There's a lot of people that don't think that way.
Right. And because you're a good person and you want a good person to buy your home, that doesn't mean that everybody who comes to the showing is going to be a good person and think like you do. So that's a great perspective. That, I mean, the last time I sold a home, I probably left out a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't have. And honestly, the thought of ever having to sell my home now from the security aspect of it would probably just drive me crazy as to all the stuff I feel like I would need to take out. Or do I, hire, executive protection to come in and watch the
Yeah,
house while the realtor's doing it or something? But yeah, those are all things that we need to consider. Uh,
absolutely. And if I can, so
sure.
that was kind of from a a homeowner standpoint, from a realtor standpoint, representing the listing side. You certainly want to be on your toes, and you don't want to report back to your client that certain things were stolen, because that could look bad on you and cast a shadow on you on your
Ooh.
so that's why I have these conversations with my sellers beforehand, so we can mitigate any potential issues and nefarious individuals as much as possible. So I'm doing an open house one year, and in comes this dude that's in his young 20s, disheveled looking.
Mm-hmm.
Could he be some tech genius that wants to buy the property? Maybe. Majority, no. If I'm a bet,
Mm-hmm.
the over under on that is no.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching it and I'm tracking him. This dude was walking through the house, and you got to act on your instincts. Hair stands on the back of your neck, act on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked around. I said, "Hey, can I help you with anything? You have any questions?" And just everything he was giving back to me, which I call leakage, nonverbal communication,
Mm-hmm.
to his verbal communication, was not jiving to as a
Yes.
homeowner.
Yes.
And I said, I'll tell you what. And then I actually called him out on it. I said, I know why you're in here, and I'm just going to leave it at that. You need to get out of the house. And he got defensive. And I said, hey, bro, I know why you're in here. Get out of the bathroom, get out of the house, or I'll call the cops. And he left.
Yeah.
Now, does that happen all the time? No. Is it once in a blue moon? Yes.
But yeah, you're right to have followed and looking for incongruent signs from
Yes.
that individual and saying, okay, well, he's here, but this is this and this is this. And while you were good to say, he could be that tech genius dude, but he will eventually tell me who he is if I watch him long enough. And it sounds
Right.
like that's what you did there.
Right. He revealed his true character, which was not consistent with a home buyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mike, do you mind sticking around and doing a bonus episode with me just about realtor safety? You got time for that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
man. So, I appreciate you talking to us about all of the stuff that you've done and your wealth of experience. I know people are going to want to know more about you and your podcast. Where can people find out more about you?
So, for good or bad, as a realtor, I have to be out there and exposed so people can find me, as you say. So, I'm on 9 different platforms. You can Mike, Mike, Postil, P as in Papa, O as in Oscar, S as in Sierra, T as in Tango, I as in India, L as in Lima. Postil. I am on pretty much every social media. I have an Instagram page, Postil's Podcast, and then I have an Instagram page, Mike Postil Real Estate. And then I have our website, Mike Postil Real Estate. I'm on the YouTube channel, which is Postil's Podcast. Gosh, I'm just all over. So I'm on websites, I'm on the internet, and I'm probably forgetting other things, but I'm pretty easy to track. You go on, hit my name, Mike Postil, into Google, and I will light up like a Christmas tree.
There you go, man. Mike,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for all you're
You,
doing.
thank you, Andy, and thank you for all you're doing. I appreciate it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Take care.